Many people don't know that Western boxing was created over 200 years ago by the British. And it was created for one simple reason: to have a martial art form that anyone could learn how to fight in, regardless of their size, shape, or strength. That's why there are only two weight classes in Western boxing, under 69 kilograms and over 69 kilograms. But there's another reason why Western boxing is so powerful. And that's because it can be traced back to the ancient Greek and Roman times. See, back then, all they had were the bare fists. But today, we have boxing gloves that protect our hands while also increasing our striking power. And that's what makes Western boxing so deadly. Today, we're going to take a closer look at Western boxing, how it evolved over time, and why it's still so popular today. Let's begin with the history. As I mentioned earlier, modern-day boxing originated in England around the year 1743, thanks to a man named Jack Broughton. He was one of the most famous bare-knuckle boxers of his time. But he also became known as the father of modern boxing because he introduced the first pair of boxing gloves. These gloves were made out of leather, and they covered not only the knuckles, but also the wrists. And ever since then, boxing gloves have become lighter and more flexible, which makes them better for fast and powerful punching. And that's when boxing began to take off in popularity. The first professional boxing match ever took place in 1743 between two men named Jack Slack and Jim Ward. And ever since then, it's been one of the most popular combat sports in the world. But it didn't remain without rules for long. In 1867, a man named John L. Sullivan became the first heavyweight champion of the world. But he was also the last bare-knuckle champion because shortly after he retired, the Marquis of Queensberry Rules were introduced, which basically made it illegal to fight without boxing gloves. Throughout the early 1900s, boxing was one of the most popular sports in America, but it eventually lost its popularity due to several reasons, including the introduction of mixed martial arts, which allowed fighters to use takedowns and submissions, something that was illegal in boxing. However, despite the rise of MMA, boxing remained very popular across the world, especially in countries like the Philippines, Thailand, Japan, and Mexico. And this was also the time when different styles of boxing began to emerge, such as the Philly shell style, which was all about being extremely aggressive and throwing a lot of punches. And then there was the sweet science style, which was based on speed and technique. But no matter which style you prefer, the fact remains that Western boxing is one of the most effective forms of self-defense out there. Here's why. Unlike other martial arts that require you to control your emotions, boxing teaches you to fight back when you're angry. After all, you can't effectively defend yourself if you're busy emptying your mind. Secondly, Western boxing is very straightforward. You simply throw punches and try to avoid getting hit. There's no funny stuff like joint locks or trying to make your opponent submit. And that's why it's easy to learn. Thirdly, Western boxing is very effective because it focuses on the most vulnerable parts of the body, the face, and the midsection. When you get hit in the face, you're likely to experience temporary blindness, which will make it easier for you to get knocked out. And if you get hit in the midsection, you may lose the will to fight or even pass out from pain. And lastly, Western boxing is a full-body workout. Not only does it improve your cardiovascular fitness, but it also helps you develop explosive power. This is why many athletes who practice Western boxing have incredible physiques. They're lean, muscular, and very athletic. But I think the best thing about Western boxing is that it doesn't matter whether or not you had any prior experience in fighting. Anyone can learn how to box and become good at it. All you need is some basic techniques and a willingness to learn. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know in the comments section below. And if you want to learn more about self-defense, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.